Hello and welcome to the world of EDC. My name's Jeff, and today we're going to be talking about a subject that's been kind of driving me nuts, and I just want to kind of see where you guys fall in this line of thinking. And so let me start off by saying I don't have any kind of inside knowledge on cost of materials, cost of what it takes to design, build, all that stuff in making a knife. So please do not take it as me saying they could do this just because this example, and why aren't you doing it because Jeff said so. I'm not that arrogant. I am a consumer, and what I know is the little bit of research that I've done on the topic, and it's not enough to consider myself to be even a novice, let alone an expert. But I can form an opinion, and I can think logically about things, and so that's the case that I'm going to make to you guys today. So I just wanted to set that stage so that there's no people saying, well, you don't really know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. I'm admitting that I don't really know what I'm talking about. However, I can use an example to make my case. So let's get into it. HCR 13 MOV D2. Today's standards for budget knives. Okay. S30v, kind of a standard across the board blade steel that most companies are going to use as a starting point, in my estimation, for are we going to start at a S30v price point and go lower to a D2 or blah 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 HCR lower, or are we going to go up into the S35, into the 20CVs, into the M390s, blah blah blah, so up from there in steels. You guys follow that line of thinking? Now, if S30V is kind of the standard go-to steel, and you either go up or down from there, and I'm making that assumption, by the way, I don't know that that's most companies practice, that they start with S30V and they go, well, we want to go cheaper than that, or we want to go more expensive than that. I'm just using it as my example, so don't poke holes through that as well. It's just where I see it, is this is kind of the start point, and then you go either down or up from there. Just want to set that stage so that there's no more holes, because I want to keep people focused on what I'm trying to get at. And what I'm trying to get at is that to go up from there, you're talking S35VN. Other steels, but S35VN, for the most part, in most people's charts, that's the next knife, that's the next steel that most people go to. And the reason why this, and now I keep trying to preface all this so that I can keep the topic straight and narrow. This knife is S35VN, this cold steel. S35VN, done for less than $70. I got this one for $65 around Christmas. These days, I think you might be finding them for $80 the last I looked. But even still, that's a great price. But most of the time, generally speaking, you're going to find these around $70. If it's $10 more than that, I think it's still well worth it. But I just want to set that stage. And a typical example of S35VN that you're going to find is going to be around this price range. And this is the CZ0450. And that's around a $200 knife. That's around where you're going to find most S35VN. Now, if cold steel is able to get that big old blade in S35VN done for that price point, why isn't S30V the new budget steel? And why aren't these now the extreme budget steel? Why are we still paying around $70 for, this one's Damascus, so that one's going to be around $80, but around $65 to $70 for a D2 steel? $50, $60 for an HCR 13 MOV. You could find some Tenaciouses out there for $56 for $10 more. When I got this one on sale, you're getting S35VN. Are you following me here? Do you see the line that I'm on? How is this $136 knife in S30V when companies are showing that this can be done? Now, The reason why I use this knife as an example, the bug out, is because most people are going to say, well, yeah, the code 4, it's done in S30v VN, but the handle material is cheap. It's done on the cheap. Locking mechanism done on the cheap. Clip, everything else about the knife is done on the cheap outside that blade, so that's where they're able to do it. What's so expensive about plastic? I mean, obviously you've got your axis lock, but Benchmade's been doing that so long that if it's expensive for them to manufacture axis locks at this point, something's got to be wrong. It's just, they're no longer designing it. They're no longer, you know, it's done. It's established. There's no more R&R that needs to be done on it. Pocket clip can't be the expense. And now I can poke holes in S30v being the reason why it's so expensive. Now, I'm not picking on Benchmade. I'm not sure. That's not my point. My point is, as a consumer, I can look at the market and say, if this can be done, why isn't this the new standard for budget steels? And why aren't we getting this knife in the $75 to $100 range? I'm not saying that it's easier or more, you know, the cost of this should be brought down to this just because I want it to. I'm not arrogant enough to say that, but I'm thinking out loud and saying, I'm pretty sure you could probably get the price of S30v down to a manageable budget steel, to where the consumer looks at it and says, wow, S30v, it's got a decent reputation, you know, but technology has surpassed it now, and now that's my standard, and I expect to pay somewhere around the, like I said, $75 to $100 range for it. You know, let's make it more generous to the companies, you know, the manufacturers, and say, I expect to spend somewhere around the $80 to $110 range. That's still a decent enough price for this knife, and now I don't feel like I got robbed. Now, I use that example, I use those words, I got robbed, simply because I can point to this as an example, and this to me, in my mind, is a lesser knife, but the design is there, and all of that stuff. So this is where it gets into the controversy of, I paid for it, I'm happy with the price, so maybe using the word robbed is wrong, so don't let that be the overarching thing about this video that you're going to pick apart. I'm happy with my purchase. I'm not trying to say that Benchmade got over on me or anything like that. I would buy another one again. There's a reason why I have 3 of them. I love the knife. I love the design. I just wish I paid $100 for it. Does that make sense? So, I'm going to end the video there because I feel like the comments could go one of two ways on this video, and I just want to see where you guys go with it. And if I need to, I'll touch base on this topic again, but I just want to see where you guys are at. Now that I've made my case, let's see where you guys feel, how you guys feel, and where you fall in this line of thinking, and then we can go from there. So, with all that being said, and let me end it by saying this is just food for thought. I'm trying to be fair to the manufacturers and to the consumers, because on the consumer side of it, and that's the only category that I really fit into, I'm not a manufacturer, all that stuff I said before, but as a consumer, I can see this and I question this because of it. That's what I want you guys to talk about. Please try to limit it to that in the comments, and we'll see where it goes from there. With all that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did enjoy this topic, or you found it interesting, or you just feel sorry for me trying to keep you guys on the right path, because I really didn't want it to be a case of, well, Jeff's just being rude or mean, or it's none of that. You know, a company's going to charge what they charge, and it's up to us as the consumers to either pay it or don't. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands, probably tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of these bug outs have been sold. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I would say, generally speaking, across the board, people are happy with the bug out. And they don't even stop to think that S30v might not be worth the price that they paid for it. But that's the topic. Let me know how you guys feel. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like. It does help me and the channel out immensely. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.